Her most hidden secret had been discovered. Once upon a time, in a close-knit, distant village in West Africa, there was a young girl named Zara who had been orphaned at a young age. Zara was known for her beauty, her strong independence from an early age, and her refusal to conform to anyone's expectations. Having lost her parents when she was still a child, she learned to take care of herself and build a life her own way. Despite rumors from her uncles and neighbors, she remained steadfast in her determination to live her life as she chose. When Zara reached an age her uncles deemed suitable for marriage, they took it upon themselves to make that decision for her. Without consulting her, they arranged a marriage on her behalf. To them, Zara was a valuable asset, and a wealthy suitor meant an opportunity for profit. They sought suitable men who could offer a generous dowry, eager to benefit from Zara's marriage. However, Zara knew nothing of these plans. Young men in the village often spoke of Zara, admiring her beauty from afar, but she showed no interest in them. Whenever anyone attempted to approach her, she would brush them off, sometimes with a cold look or an indifferent shrug. She wasn't searching for anyone to rescue her and certainly wasn't waiting for a prince to come to her aid. One day, Zara's uncles called her in for a meeting. They informed her that they had chosen a husband for her and that this man would visit her the following day. Zara's heart sank, but instead of feeling afraid, a fierce determination rose within her. She had no intention of letting anyone decide her future. The next day, Zara sat calmly in her small home, waiting for the suitor to arrive. Beside her was a pot of water she had prepared, just in case things went too far. When the man entered the house, Zara didn't say a word. She picked up the pot and, without hesitation, threw the water at him. Stunned and soaked, the man stumbled out of the house, and Zara could hear the laughter of a few onlookers as he retreated in shame. Her uncles were furious. They summoned Zara once more, scolding her for her behavior. However, Zara feigned remorse, kneeling before them and promising not to do such a thing again. Her uncles, though suspicious, decided to give her another chance. They arranged for a new suitor to visit her the following week. This time, Zara prepared by taking her late father's old hunting rifle. As soon as she saw the man approaching her house, she grabbed the rifle and fired a shot into the sky. The loud bang echoed throughout the village, and the man turned and ran away in fear. Zara watched him disappear, a satisfied smile spreading across her face. Her uncles grew increasingly disappointed and threatened Zara, warning her of consequences if she continued to act this way. But Zara remained unmoved. When a third suitor was sent, she decided to try a different approach. She waited a little distance from her house, and as the man came closer, she greeted him warmly. But as he moved in to embrace her, she bit down hard on his shoulder. The man screamed in pain and ran off, leaving Zara standing there completely unbothered. News of Zara's defiance spread throughout the village. People began talking, and while some were shocked by her actions, a few others admired her bravery. Zara was pleased that her message was clear. She had no interest in marrying anyone for reasons she chose to keep to herself. But there was one man in the village who was not swayed by the stories about Zara. His name was Elijah. He had often seen Zara from a distance and was always drawn to her calm demeanor. Unlike others, he did not want to marry her solely for her beauty. He admired her spirit. Elijah believed that the stories about her were exaggerated, and he was determined to understand who she truly was. One day, Elijah decided to visit Zara's food stall at the market. He bought something from her, and to his surprise, Zara did not seem as intimidating as the rumors claimed. She was polite, though a bit distant, and Elijah considered this a small victory. Day by day, Elijah continued to visit her stall, buying small items and occasionally helping her with larger deliveries. Gradually, their conversations moved beyond simple transactions. One afternoon, as Zara struggled with some calculations for her inventory, Elijah offered to help. He quickly solved the problem, and Zara looked at him, slightly impressed. She checked his work, and when she saw it was accurate, a small smile appeared on her face. She even offered him a glass of water as a gesture of thanks, but Elijah politely declined. As weeks went by, Elijah's persistence began to pay off. He and Zara occasionally chatted about trivial things, and he even helped her with her calculations. One evening, Elijah waited until Zara was about to close up. She had packed her belongings onto her wheelbarrow only to realize the tire was flat. "What am I supposed to do now?" she muttered, frustrated. "Let me help," Elijah said, stepping forward. "You can help carry some of the things, but only to a certain point," Zara replied firmly, not wanting him to know where she lived. As they walked together, Elijah decided it was time to share his feelings. "Zara, I like you," he said calmly. "I want you to be my wife." Zara stopped and turned to look at him, narrowing her eyes. "Is that why you've been coming to my stall every day?" she asked, her voice full of suspicion. Elijah slowly nodded. Zara's expression hardened, and she told him to set down her belongings and leave. Elijah tried to plead, but she didn't want to listen. Reluctantly, he placed the items on the ground. But instead of walking away, he picked them up again and started walking quickly towards her home when Zara suddenly stopped and spoke. "I forbid you from coming near my house," Zara shouted, rushing toward him. "If I catch you there, I'll hit you." However, Elijah had no intention of invading her privacy. He simply wanted to ensure her belongings were close enough for her to manage. After setting them down, he began to walk away. As he did, he glanced briefly at Zara, who was watching him with a mix of irritation and something else, perhaps admiration. She quickly erased the expression, muttering to herself, "I can't marry him." The next day, Elijah returned to the market, but Zara refused to serve him. She turned away, telling him to leave. Undeterred, Elijah moved to the stall next to hers, run by Zara's friend, Leah, who sold beads and other items. "Then I'll buy something from Leah," he said. Zara glanced at him, visibly irritated. Leah, who had noticed the tension between Zara and Elijah, decided to join in. "Leave my customer alone, Zara," she teased. "Don't scare him off." From then on, every day Elijah would stop by Leah's stall, buying beads while Zara watched, pretending not to care. But it became increasingly clear that Elijah's presence affected her. Whenever he arrived late, she couldn't hide her disappointment, and Leah never missed a chance to tease her about it. 2 months later, Leah announced that she was getting married and would soon be leaving the village. Zara was happy for her friend, but also saddened to realize she would be left alone. This made her realize that she didn't want to be lonely forever. She came up with a plan. If she couldn't marry, at least she could have a child. And for that, she needed Elijah. The next day, Zara sought out Elijah. "If you still want to marry me, I'm willing to accept," she said, her voice firm. Elijah's face lit up with a smile and he nodded. "Of course, Zara," he replied gently. "Good," Zara responded. "But there are conditions. We will not live together, and I will never stay at your house overnight. I will fulfill my duties as a wife, but my terms will not change." Elijah was puzzled. "Why these conditions, Zara?" he asked, genuinely curious. "It just has to be this way," she said, her voice trembling slightly. She feared he might walk away, but instead Elijah reached out and reassured her. "No matter what, we can face it together," he said. Overwhelmed by his words, Zara began to cry. Elijah tried to comfort her, but she pulled back and returned home. For 2 days, Elijah went to the market looking for Zara, but she was nowhere to be found. Worried, he decided to go near her house and called out her name. "Zara," he shouted, but there was no response. As he got closer, he noticed a strong, foul odor coming from inside. Fear gripped him as he pushed the door open and saw Zara lying weakly on her bed. "Please leave," Zara said weakly, tears streaming down her face. Elijah quickly ran to fetch the village healer. The stench was so overpowering that the healer couldn't bear to stay, but Elijah remained, giving Zara her medicine himself. He cooked, cleaned, and cared for Zara as she rested. As Elijah cleaned around the bed, he noticed a wet spot. He smelled the mattress and realized it was urine. Zara had wet the bed, which explained the foul odor filling the house. When Zara woke up and saw Elijah there, she was deeply embarrassed. Her most hidden secret had been discovered. "Don't be ashamed," Elijah said gently. "How could a grown woman possibly wet the bed?" Zara sobbed, unable to look at him. Elijah comforted her, saying that her condition didn't matter to him. "I've had bladder issues for many years," Zara admitted, tears streaming down her face. "That's why I can't marry. No one would accept me like this." "But I accept you," Elijah said firmly. "We'll face this together." Zara shook her head, still filled with doubt. Yet Elijah remained determined. The next day, Elijah didn't come to see her as he had promised, and Zara feared he had abandoned her. She went out into the village to look for him, only to find a group of young girls whispering and watching her. Feeling exposed, Zara shouted, "Yes, I wet the bed! Judge me if you want, I don't care." She ran back home, only to find Elijah waiting for her. He had spent the morning arranging for builders to improve her house, making it more comfortable for them both. "No matter what happens, Zara, we'll face it together," Elijah said, looking into her eyes. She knew he wasn't lying, and she felt a pang of regret for not trusting him. Elijah and Zara finally got married, and despite the villagers' gossip, they were the happiest couple in the village. Elijah cared for Zara and helped her manage her condition, and together they made their home a warm place for friends and family. After Elijah and Zara married, life in the village gradually began to change. Although the whispers and gossip from neighbours continued for a while, Elijah's undeniable love and dedication to Zara started to inspire others. What began as a story of defiance and misunderstanding slowly became a symbol of true love, unconditional, patient, and forgiving. Zara had always been fiercely independent, but for the first time in her life, she allowed herself to rely on someone else. The fear of rejection that had haunted her for years began to fade. Elijah not only accepted her flaws, but helped her see that they did not define her worth. He embraced every part of her, even the parts she had tried to hide. His love did not depend on her perfection. It was true, human, and complete. One day, as Elijah and Zara were having breakfast in their newly renovated home, Elijah mentioned something he had been thinking about. "Zara," he said gently, "I think we should invite the villagers over to see our home. Let them see that we're happy and have nothing to hide." Zara looked at him, her eyes wide with surprise. The idea of letting people into her private space was frightening. For so long she had built walls to keep others out, to protect herself from their judgment. But as she looked at Elijah, she knew he was right. It was time to break down those walls. "If you think it's a good idea," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, "then let's do it." With that decision, Elijah and Zara began preparing for the event. They spent days decorating their home, making it warm and inviting. Elijah even built a new bench in the front yard for guests to sit and enjoy the shade of the large tree there. Meanwhile, Zara worked tirelessly in the kitchen, preparing dishes that showcased her cooking skills. This was her way of welcoming everyone, showing that she was no longer afraid. When the gathering day arrived, Zara felt nervous. She stood by the window watching as the first villagers approached. Elijah placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "They'll love it," he assured her with a gentle smile. At first, the villagers seemed hesitant, but gradually they began gathering in the yard. Some came out of curiosity, others out of genuine care. They admired the renovations Elijah had made to the house, the fresh coat of paint, the flowers Zara had planted, and the warm, inviting atmosphere. It was clear the home was filled with love and care. Upon entering, the villagers were greeted by the warm aroma of Zara's cooking. She had prepared a feast, and as everyone sat down to eat, conversations that had once been full of judgment began to shift. Instead of gossiping about Zara's defiance or Elijah's supposed foolishness, the villagers spoke of the strength the couple must have had to be together against all odds. They were amazed by Elijah's dedication and Zara's resilience. One of the older women in the village, named Miriam, approached Zara as she stood near the kitchen door, anxiously watching the guests. Miriam smiled and took Zara's hand. "You've done very well, my dear," she said kindly. "It takes great courage to open up like this. Elijah is a good man, but you are a strong woman. Together, the two of you have created something truly beautiful." Tears welled up in Zara's eyes. She had spent so many years feeling like an outsider, believing her condition made her unworthy of love or respect. But here, among her neighbors, with Elijah by her side, she finally felt accepted. Not because she had changed who she was, but because she had found someone who loved her exactly as she was. And together they had shown others the true meaning of love. The gathering ended in laughter and music. Elijah brought out a small drum, and soon a group of villagers joined together, singing and dancing in the yard. The sound of joy filled the air, and Zara found herself truly laughing, for the first time in a long time. She watched Elijah dancing with some of the children, his smile bright and carefree. Her heart overflowed with love for him and for the life they had built together. That evening, after the villagers had left and the house had grown quiet again, Zara and Elijah sat together on the new bench under the tree. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden light over the yard. Zara rested her head on Elijah's shoulder, sighing contentedly. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. Elijah turned to her, his eyes gentle. "For what?" "For loving me," Zara replied, her voice slightly choked. "For seeing me when no one else could. For giving me a life I never thought I could have." Elijah smiled and wrapped his arms around her. "You deserve all of it, Zara, and I'll spend every day reminding you of that." Zara closed her eyes, letting his words sink in. For so long she had fought to prove that she didn't need anyone, but now she understood that needing someone didn't make her weak. It made her stronger, because with Elijah by her side, there was nothing she couldn't face. In the weeks that followed, the village began to change in subtle yet meaningful ways. Those who had once looked at Zara with judgment now greeted her with smiles. They stopped by her stall at the market, not only to buy food, but also to chat and check in on her. They talked about the gathering, the love they had witnessed between her and Elijah, and how it had inspired them. One day, as Zara was arranging items at her stall, a little girl approached her. She looked nervous, her eyes wide as she clutched a small basket in her hands. "Miss Zara?" the girl said softly. Zara turned and smiled at her. "Yes, dear?" The girl took a deep breath and said, "I just wanted to say that you're very brave. My mum says you've taught everyone what true love is. I want to be like you when I grow up." Zara's heart filled with emotion. She knelt down to meet the girl's eyes. "Thank you, sweetheart," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "But remember, you don't need to be like me. You just need to be yourself. That's the bravest thing anyone can do." The girl nodded, a shy smile spreading across her face before she turned and ran back to her mother. Zara watched her go, her heart full. She had never imagined that her story could inspire others, that her own struggles could help others find their own strength. But that was the power of love, she realized. It wasn't just about two people. It was about how love could spread, touching everyone around, changing them for the better. That evening, as Zara and Elijah sat together at home, she told him about the little girl. Elijah smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "Do you see, Zara? You've always been stronger than you thought, and now others are beginning to see it too." Zara took his hand, interlacing her fingers with his. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. Elijah shook his head. "No, my love, you've had it in you all along. I just helped you see it." Zara smiled, her heart full. For so long she had resisted the idea of needing someone, but now, looking at Elijah, she realized that love wasn't about needing or being needed. It was about choosing each other every day, no matter what. And that, she knew, was the strongest thing of all. The story of Elijah and Zara became a tale that villagers passed down to their children and grandchildren, a story of love, resilience, and the courage to be vulnerable. It served as a reminder that true strength isn't about facing the world alone, but about finding someone who will stand beside you, no matter what. And as the years went by, The love that Elijah and Zara shared continued to inspire, becoming a beacon of hope in their close-knit little village.